Hey guys, my name is Mitsumiya, and today we have finally seen our first look at Battlefield 2042 gameplay. A lot of the stuff that was showed off in this trailer is things that you would expect from something like this, but there's also a lot of hidden or small details that may not have been as obvious, and that's what I wanted to go over in today's video. And so the first thing I wanted to showcase is inside of the stadium here, where we get a look at what I believe is a new specialist that we haven't seen yet named Delta. He is going to have access to a gigantic shield gadget. If you're not aware, in Battlefield 2042, specialists are going to be taking over the role of all the different classes, and there's going to be 10 of them, and every single one of them is going to have a unique gadget specific to them. I believe that Delta's special primary gadget is going to be this gigantic shield. Now, will this be useful? It remains to be seen. In theory, it sounds like it could be a fun, defensive, tactical, team-oriented gadget where you're able to push on in, maybe absorb or block some shots for your teammates, and then they're able to retaliate. But this was a gadget used back in Battlefield 4, and while, yes, the Battlefield 4 version was much smaller and less defensive, I don't think it's really gonna work out like that in reality. It sounds awesome to have like a phalanx line, but it just doesn't really work that way. And so I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to make this a useful gadget and make this character feel viable. Another new potential specialist that we see very quickly after this moment is off on the left. Now, I will admit I'm not as confident on this one because it could just simply be the scenery, but you will notice that this character here appears to be hiding directly behind what looks like a deployable shield. This shield looks very different from the surrounding environment. We're inside of a stadium. Why would there be what looks like a high-tech shield device? Now, who knows? Maybe it was already a part of the map the entire time. Just because in previous Battlefield games you come across a wall of sandbags doesn't mean those sandbags were created by a specific class. This could just be a part of the map itself. We're gonna have to wait and see, but that was one thing that I noticed. Now, making our way out of the stadium into the open, we get a really good glimpse into the sheer size and scale of what DICE is trying to achieve with this game. The amount of vehicles that are flying, driving, and people running around on the ground is ridiculous. The first thing that stuck out to me is that you need to be comfortable in this game being in a vehicle, because if you try to run from the stadium to those skyscrapers, not only is it just going to simply take you probably half the match, but also you're going to be vulnerable to all of these helicopters. Speaking of helicopters, we already can tell there's going to be a wide variety. We see transport vehicles, there's little birds, there's going to be different versions of attack helicopters. This one looks like a standard Apache, but then there's others that have two wings or rotors. And then later on in the video, it looks like there is one that has two different gunner positions, which are going to be able to rain down from above. Like, just the amount of variety in the helicopters is fairly impressive so far. Where things get a little weird though, and I'm not 100% sold on just yet, is with the grappling hook. This is going to be a specialist gadget for Mackay, and we see him quite literally jump off of a building, grapple hook up onto a crane, and then float to the top. It's a little jarring. Now, maybe I'm alone, but the reason why I'm hesitant about this gadget so far is that not only does it appear to have infinite charges, but the cooldown also seems to be very fast. Now, to some extent, this does make sense because the maps are so large, you want to give your infantry players plenty of ways to be able to move around quickly, but at the same time, I don't want it to get to the point where we're in a situation where everyone is just flying around with grappling hooks every 10 seconds. That would take me out of the experience. And so while it is too early to tell, we haven't actually played the game ourselves, that was one thing that I noticed. Before we move on, I want to quickly mention, because it's going to be relevant throughout the rest of the video, that at the bottom right hand side of the screen, not only are we going to see a vehicles loadout if you are in a vehicle, but also infantry loadout. So from going left to right, we've got the primary weapon, secondary weapon, primary gadget, secondary gadget, and then and finally your nade slot. This is all going to be relevant later on. Probably my favorite vehicle that they show off in this trailer, though, has to be the MV8 Condor. When I laid eyes on this, my initial reaction was that it was just an alternative version of the transport helicopter, moving people from point A to point B. And it might still be that, but when I looked at all of the seat positions on the right-hand side, it made me think it might be used for something more. This has access to 3 gunner positions, 1 at the top and then 2 at the bottom. I have a feeling that in a squad that knows what they're doing, this is going to be a force to be reckoned with. The topmost will be able to deal with other aircrafts that are trying to take it out, and then the bottom 2 are going to be able to pummel everyone down below. It remains to be seen because we don't really get to see it in action. We don't really get to see what those gunner positions are going to be able to do. But it looks incredible. I love seeing this thing fly by. As we make our way down to ground level, we get a great look at the new vehicle call-in system. In Battlefield 2042, no matter what player or where you are, you're going to be able to call in a vehicle. It could be for transport, or it could be a tank, which is what we're getting. As for those tanks, they remind me a lot of Battlefield 4. It appears that they're moving away from the Battlefield 5 system where you need to go resupply and restock rounds at certain areas, and they're going back to a system where it just kind of slowly refreshes. You have an infinite amount of rounds, but you only have a set amount in a short time, and so you can't just constantly rattle off shot after shot after shot. There is going to be a brief window for either other tanks to be able to swoop on in and take you out, or infantry to be able to use that window to their advantage. I like the Battlefield 4 system. I'm pretty happy that it seems, at least so far, that that is the direction that they're going down. Where things start to differ, though, is that you're going to be able to have 4 players in this tank. You've got the main driver, you've got the top and back gunner, and then the spotting position. This seems to be the theme in Battlefield 2042. DICE is really trying to incentivize squads to stick together throughout the entire round. And so while, yes, you could go off by yourself in a tank and still do really well like any other Battlefield, I'm sure that's going to be viable. If you do have a full tank with everyone coordinating, it's probably going to be terrifying going against one of those squads. Imagine trying to C4 one of these vehicles, you step out of cover, you get spotted by the spotter, and then the 2 turrets just whip in your direction and immediately take you out. It's gonna be difficult. And so I think that's what DICE is trying to incentivize, getting these squads to stick together throughout the round. The final thing I wanted to mention quickly with regard to the tanks is that there's a moment where the tank rolls over a car and it looks awesome. The reason why I think this is noteworthy is that in past Battlefield games, it just doesn't really work like that. A lot of times, if you come across a car or anything on the ground, you hit it, you stop. There's no real rolling over it. And so I'm hopeful that DICE has really improved their vehicle physics with the tanks specifically to make them feel more like tanks, where if they come across an obstacle, it might slow them down a little bit, but it does not stop them. As we move to some infantry gameplay, we get our first look at the brand new attachment system. This mechanic is going to allow you to swap out your attachments whenever you want. If you're moving into a building like right now and you want to swap out your optic to something that is going to allow you to excel up close, you can do so. It seems like there is only, so far, 4 different slots. You've got optic, barrel, mag, and grip. I'm also speculating that there's going to be a lot more attachments in the game when it finally does go live. I'm guessing that this is just kind of a taste of what we can be expecting. You'll also notice at the bottom right that we're playing as a character named Sundance. This is a new specialist that we haven't seen yet, and I have no idea what this gadget is. Your guess is as good as mine as to what that icon is indicating. It could be that deployable shield that we saw at the beginning of the game. I don't think it is, but that's a possibility. And so if you guys have any idea as to what this could be, give me guys' thoughts down below. One thing that I thought was really cool about this top segment is that once this vehicle is flying into the helicopter, you'll notice that he has C4 in his hands, but the C4 icon is in the nade slot. So it looks like it's now confirmed that C4 is going to be an alternative option to nades, unless I have completely completely missed the mark with this loadout system, I'm pretty sure that that is now going to be an option. Now, sadly, we don't get a lot of action as the infantry players. He does take a couple of shots at someone, but it's not much. It's really hard to tell what the recoil is going to be like. All I can say is that it's clear that it's not going to be something like CSGO or anything like that. But is it going to be like Battlefield 5? Is it going to be like Battlefield 4? It's really anyone's guess. The thing that I really like, though, about this scene is the helicopter. It looks like it has two different gunner positions. The shots are going different directions. And so this makes me think that this helicopter is going to have 3 people in it. You got the pilot and then the 2 gunners. I cannot wait to see what kind of vehicles they have in this game. It really looks like we're gonna get way more variety than we've ever seen before. And then finally, we have the giant tornado. This is going to affect everything on the map. You see trees being blown around, characters, cars are being sucked into the center of it. And I was really wondering when we saw the initial trailer, what was gonna happen to players if they do get dragged in the tornado itself. And it appears that you can just simply parachutes. I know that if you have the wingsuit, you can fly around and get from point A to point B. What happens if you're in the parachute? Does it just keep you in the air for the rest of the map? Does it allow you to escape at some point and go where you want to go? I'm not gonna lie, it would be pretty funny just to see like 20 people stuck in the tornado for a couple of minutes because they just cannot go anywhere. And so I'm interested to see how that is going to play out. Yeah, guys, that is about it for today's deep dive into Battlefield 2042's gameplay trailer. I hope you enjoyed. There's a lot of great information in this video, a lot of small details, and I'm hopeful that I was able to reveal something that you may have missed. If I did miss something, let everyone know down below in the comments. We are all eagerly awaiting any little bit of new information that we can get, and so let everyone know down below. Personally, I'm really liking what I see so far from Battlefield 2042. I do have a couple concerns here and there, like the grappling hook, and I'm sure I'll make a video in the near future giving my general thoughts and opinions on the game, but so far, everything is pretty positive. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one, and take it easy.